atheist. What are you going to say when you stand in front of God?
Why did you stay hidden?
I'm going to refute all of our questions in 3 minutes, so get ready.
Hidden? Why did you stay silent?
God's existence was overwhelmingly obvious. It would jeopardize the possibility to love God freely and for the right reasons. He doesn't want to coerce us with his power. Furthermore, there are goods that come out of this, like having the responsibility to represent God or cultivate your spiritual life or someone else's.
Why did you demand faith instead of providing evidence?
There's plenty of evidence for God. It's widely accessible, but it's easily resistible, as we have seen, because God does not want to force us into a relationship.
Why did you reveal yourself in a book full of historical inaccuracies?
So it's very presumptuous to assume the Bible is full of these inaccuracies. Secondly, even granting this, it is not worrisome because the purpose of the inspiration of the Bible is salvation, not anything else. Third, irregardless of the revelation of the Bible, there is the revelation of the man Jesus Christ. And the best explanation of the historical evidence of this man is that he rose from the dead, so Christianity is true.
If you knew that the vast majority of humans you created would end up in hell, why did you create them?
Firstly, it's presumptuous to say most. Secondly, it's because life is intrinsically valuable and hell is not immoral. Thirdly, this assumes there's a possible world in which no one freely rejects Christ. Fourthly, this assumes that God would prefer a world in which less are saved but no one is lost. Lastly, this assumes a strict view of God and hell.
How is infinite punishment justice for a finite crime?
Firstly, because it's a harm against the infinite value of God. Secondly, those in hell continually sin. They continually choose to be there, so God respects their decision.
But what is the point of torturing someone in hell if they can never get out of it?
Firstly, hell is not a literal physical burning. It is separation from God. Secondly, it's just retributive justice. The same reason we give people life sentences, even though they can't get out. It's justice. Lastly, my answers to the previous question apply here.
Why would you purposely tempt Adam and Eve?
Because God wanted Adam and Eve to freely choose to love him. The only way to give this choice was to command something that was not allowed. It was in the midst of the garden, so they knew which one it was. And God warned them what would happen if they chose to disobey him. It was not temptation, it was the opportunity of choice.
I had children, I baby-proofed my house. I didn't light a fire in the middle of the living room.
This is not analogous. Children are not moral agents and thus not responsible, but Adam and Eve were. Adam and Eve were fully aware and responsible.
Why didn't you condemn slavery?
Firstly, slavery was very different back then. Secondly, God's regulation was a very big improvement and it was applied in a very unique context. So granting that it was wrong, it just follows that God did not command it, not that Christianity is false.
Why are there only 10 commandments?
Because it was in God's wisdom and progressive revelation to reveal that at that time. But as Paul says, the summation of the commandments is to love your neighbor as yourself.
It's more important to tell children they needed to respect and obey their parents instead of telling parents not to abuse their children.
Again, the summation of those laws is to love your neighbor as yourself. So that entails not to abuse your children. God even says don't provoke your children. What do you think he thinks of abuse?
Why did you make it possible for humans to physically hurt each other?
Firstly, every possible world requires the creatures to have the ability to do something wrong. Secondly, it's because virtuous agents are better, but this responsibility requires a choice. This allows the opportunity for greater goods like compassion.
Trying to test Job.
Firstly, Job was a moralist, so God wanted to wake him up. Secondly, how do you know it's not a metaphor to learn something rather than a historical event?
Why do you demand worship?
God is the highest good, ought to direct his will for us only towards himself.
Why can you not offer forgiveness freely?
God does offer forgiveness freely. You just have to accept it. It's better for him to show his love on the cross. Your questions would not stump God. I just gave some answers.